You're listening to The Marne Report.
Well, hey, Fort Stewart, Hunter Army Airfield. Molly here with another episode of your Marne Report podcast. Today, I am joined by my friend, Mrs. Amber Eissler. She is the Director for Child, Youth, and School Services, which falls under DFMWR. Amber, thank you so much for being on the podcast with me today.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited for you to be here because I have a lot of questions about respite care. But before we start talking about it, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yes. So, I'm Amber Eissler. I am the Chief of Child and Youth Services for both Fort Stewart and Hunter Army Airfield. We deliver services for about 5,000 children and youth between both installations. We have a lot going on, in between child development centers, a school-age center. We have some teen programs going on at our youth centers, and then youth sports, of course, and even some instructional programs. So we have a lot going on.
Yeah, you do. But today we're going to talk specifically about the child care portion, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And respite care, which I really need you to tell me what that means.
Yes, so it's such a hot topic right now. As you are tracking, and as we're all tracking, we had around 3,000 or so deployed soldiers recently. And so, these families that are back on the home fronts are looking for hourly care just so that moms and dads can use, respite or hourly care for doctor's appointments or, gym time or just me time. I guess you don't even need an excuse really. So, so we're hoping, to accommodate as many as we can. And so I'm excited to talk to you about that today.
Awesome. So, I think the biggest question that I always have is kind of like what constitutes a deployment from a rotation and who exactly is eligible to receive this care through CYS?
So that's a great question, Molly. So what we really encourage our families to do, just as you're incoming to Fort Stewart and Hunter Army Airfield, is to register with Child and Youth Services right away. It's a complete free process. It's pretty easy. We have a process if your child has special needs in order to accommodate them. But outside of that, it's really a quick and easy process. Once you do that, you're good to go for a year. So say you may not know right now that your spouse is going to deploy, but, it's the Army. So it could happen at any time. And so what we ask is that you at least register and just get that out of the way.
Yeah.
Say you're registered and or not registered, but then your service member becomes deployed. Our only process is that you drop off a copy of the orders at the Parent Central Services office. So that very same place where you register your children for care. So as long as we have your orders on file, we have documentation provided by headquarters, MCOM-G9, that talks about all of the different types of eligibility criteria.
Sure.
And so it does have to be defined on the sponsor's orders.
Okay.
But as long as it's defined, it's pretty easy to just transfer over, and then you receive respite hourly care based on your sponsor's orders.
Okay. All right, cool. So basically, if anybody has any questions and their spouse is, overseas right now, they really should just be bringing those orders into the Parent Central Services office, and they will help them get squared away, let them know what they're eligible for and maybe what they're not.
Right.
Have you noticed since the deployment started, are there any roadblocks that are common that people are running into that maybe you have some advice to give them?
Yes, I do. So fortunately and unfortunately here at Fort Stewart and Hunter Army Airfield, our requirement is to fill our facilities to at least 90%.
Sure.
So as you may or may not be tracking, we have and have had for quite some time an excessive wait list. So I think in July, our wait list, we had over 400 children just at Fort Stewart alone. So,
wow.
Those are families waiting to get those full daycare spots. So that is really, truly our primary mission is to, readiness to get those babies cared for. So what we have done, though, is we have found areas within the centers, that we can accommodate some hourly because we want to keep those classrooms as full as possible at all times. And so what we do is we utilize our full day care patrons' vacation credits. And so we track those in advance, of course. And so we use those particular spaces to fill for hourly care.
Very cool.
And then we also, it's our requirement that a sponsor turns in their PCS status or them no longer needing care. we require them to turn that paperwork in 30 days in advance. So we always kind of have a tracker as to what particular spaces we need to fill and or where we're waiting on what.
Sure.
So we've just become creative in trying to fill those.
Well, that's awesome.
The unfortunate thing, though, is that it really, truly is onesies and twosies. We
Sure.
don't have dedicated space just to provide hourly care. So, but I know that my team is doing the very best that we can. I know that we have not turned anyone away thus far.
Cool.
So that's really awesome. You know,
Yeah.
we're working really hard to accommodate everybody.
That's great. And then, you know, you do mention this thing about wait lists. Does anyone get priority over, you know, anyone else? Like, what does that look like?
Yes, so that, you know, is all designed by our MCOM G9 team. And yes, we do have a priorities for care, and it's typically active duty, you know, dual active duty, and then it just, like, goes all the way down to, you know, active duty with a working spouse, active duty with spouse in school. Like, there's all sorts of priorities for care. So
Right. And I mean, even our DoD civilians can use your facilities too, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm sure, though, when you think about, you know, a DoD civilian versus active duty or dual military, I mean, you know, we know where the order is going to fall, but it still is just something cool to mention, you know, just in case there are
Absolutely.
people out there that don't realize that, you know, if you're
Yes.
employed on Fort Stewart or Hunter Army Airfield through the Department of Defense and you do need childcare, that is available too.
Yes, we are here. You know, we really strive to be everyone's option.
Yeah.
Obviously, having that excessive wait list, it's difficult, you know, to just accommodate everyone. If I was president for a day, I'd build another building and we'd just accommodate everyone.
Everybody,
but,
yeah.
You know, unfortunately, we can't. But I do know that my team is working really hard to assess those spaces and that availability to be able to accommodate.
Yeah.
We know it's important, especially when your
course.
spouse is deployed and it's just you. We've all been there. So
Yeah, right. You've got enough stacked up against you, right? Just
Right.
a little bit of help would be nice.
Yes,
Yeah, I totally get it.
yes,
I
we
think
get
what
it.
you guys are doing is really cool. So tell me, is there anything else about respite care or the program that you would like to pass along to our listeners?
Yes. I think there's been a question as to like how far in advance can you book continual care, and since we don't have a lot of availability for hourly care, we do ask that it's not booked consistently, just so that we can provide that opportunity or that break, for as many people as possible.
Sure.
We understand, when you're going to the gym and such, that you want that routine, but perhaps you can break it up and do a routine at home one time and go to the gym, another day, just to be able to provide the opportunity for multiple families. But, if you're not using the deployed respite care, we do ask that hourly is paid at the time of reservation, just to secure the spot, because we have a lot of families asking for it. And so we want to ensure that we provide that opportunity. They can be booked, hourly or respite care can be booked up to 2 weeks in advance. So if you have a doctor's appointment in Savannah, 2 weeks from now, please call us and we'll try our best to accommodate that. I don't know. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I mean, that's some great information, and I love the point that you bring up too. You want to spread the love, right?
Yes,
maybe just be thinking of each other, right? When you go
Yes.
to try to book that respite care,
Right. Just know that it's, in our best interest. And, I think that some people have gotten discouraged just because we just don't have the availability to accommodate everybody. But, I just ask everyone to be patient with us, and that we're working really hard to accommodate and help everyone. We understand the need, and we're trying very hard.
Sure. I love it. Well, so since I have you here, do you have any other updates for CYS that you'd like to tell everyone about?
I don't know. I mean, we have, we're always seeking employment. I always like to use these types of things as a plug for employment. We're always trying to grow. I think we're almost at 400 staff members right now, so that's almost the largest we've been in a very, very long time.
Sure.
And, part of that is you get a 50% discount off of childcare when you are employed with CYS, so that's really awesome. And we're excited to have that opportunity for our installation. We have a lot of things going on, like our youth centers are doing 2 Friday nights now instead of the once a quarter, so that's really exciting.
Cool.
We noticed the teenagers really like to be in the youth centers, and we want to hold on to them, so that's really cool. I don't know, there's just a lot of fun things going on within each facility, with the fall activities and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's an exciting time.
And for any CYS program, you do have to be centrally registered through Parent Central Services, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Do you have information about those two facilities? Can parents do anything online? Should they be calling somewhere?
Yes, absolutely. The documentation to register and or just any documents that you would need to bring to the Parent Central Services office is on the MWR website.
Sure.
But also, just call us. At Fort Stewart, you can reach us at 767-2312 and at Hunter 315-5425. So
awesome.
Just pick up the phone. We have, a big team on site that is ready to answer your call and assist in however they can.
Well, this has been some fantastic information, Amber. Thank you again for coming on the podcast and just kind of helping clarify some of this. I know I needed the clarification, so I'm sure some of our listeners needed that too. And guys, I hope that some of you will be able to use this service. I mean, what a special thing for you guys to offer, just as offer a little bit of help to the families that are here while their soldiers are, abroad. So really, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me today and just allowing me to communicate to our community, what we're able to offer. So I really appreciate the time today.
Of course. Well, you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
Well, that is it for this week's edition of the Marne Report Podcast, everybody. This is Molly, and that is Amber, and we are signing off.
The Digital Garrison app is your one-stop source for all things Fort Stewart Hunter Army Airfield. With the DG at your fingertips, you'll never miss out on upcoming events, installation updates, facility and gate information, weather, shopping, and so much more. Digital Garrison is free from your phone's app store. Download today.